Hello everybody, this is Alex from Hardcorian Guys, bringing my guide for God of War Ghosts of Sparta on God difficulty. Today we're doing part 10 entitled Death Gate. Not Death's Gate, not with an S, but just straight up Death Gate. I don't know why they just didn't call it Death's Gate. Possessive, because, I mean, aren't we fighting literally Death himself, I guess, in terms of the universe of Greek mythology? Thanatos? I don't know. I'm sure someone's gonna probably say something like, no, it's not actually true, he's not really, but I don't know, I don't care enough. I'm sorry, I don't, it just, yeah, I know. So, anyway, guy is getting electrocuted, automaton thing is getting electrocuted, we gotta go deal with this guy that's been fucking with us the entire game. Funny enough, this guy, this Lanius, or whatever his name is, he's such a odd character that just kind of shows up to fuck with you, and I don't know if there's any background lore or anything that I'm supposed to know about him whatsoever, because I don't remember him ever really showing up in cutscenes, outside of just unskippable parts that you can't, that are, you know, like a scene like that, right? Like a cutscene like that. It just always seemed like he's just a dude that just kind of exists in order just to fuck with us. Much like, you know, the guys from, like, God of War 1 have to use, like, the Zeus Fury or whatever. But those are just guys. Those are just nothing named guys. They even named this guy, and he just doesn't really seem to have much going on. Because I always used to think that there'd be more with him. Like, oh, there'd be, like, maybe, like, a boss fight where he would summon goons to come out and fight you. No, this is it. This is it for him. It's just a brutal death. So, there's that. Which I'm wondering, so since he got electrocuted underwater, I'm not really exactly 100% sure on exactly how electrocution works, but isn't it supposed to stiffen up your muscles and make it to where you can't move at all, even when you're dead? Because, like, he goes underwater and he kind of, like, his body floats down, and his arms kind of float down with it, so you think that it would, I don't know, I'm not sure how that's supposed to technically work. Realistically, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just going off things that I understand more so than things that make sense. And who gives a fuck? It's a game anyway. Alright, so here we go. Bridge time. Basically the same thing like everything else has been in Atlantis right now for the past few parts. You pretty much just gotta, you know, grab these guys, chain grab them, and kill them. And if those guys in the background are going to throw stuff, just preemptively wait and, you know, try to catch them off guard by doing a block mid-chain grab so you don't get, you know, screwed over. It's basically just a situation of paying attention and, you know, waiting for them to do whatever they got to do. So, nothing too ridiculously difficult, thankfully. Yeah, that's why I keep blocking, like, sort of mid-chain grab there, because I just want to make sure, you know, that I don't accidentally get clipped by one of those throwing objects that they toss at us. Now, these guys do take, like, a couple of hits to kill, and I do have level 2 Arms of Sparta, I think, don't I? I think so. So maybe that's why. Okay, I think that one took about 3 hits. That one's 2. Okay, that's weird. Huh. Anyway, off topic, but playing God of War again, like, I look, you know, it takes me a bit, but I do love God of War. You know, I still love God of War no matter how much I try to fight it. There will always be room for me to theoretically want to play God of War, right? There will always be a time where it's like, you know what, I want to play God of War. Like, it's not the pinnacle of hack and slash games for me. That kind of goes to, like, Ninja Gaiden and Metal Gear Rising, but God of War's up there. It's one of the fucking pillars of hack and slash games for me. Even though there's technically better games out there like DMC, you know, Ninja Gaiden, MGR, Bayonetta. Like, you could name like a whole bunch of them. Hell, probably Assault Spy or whatever it was called might be one. I don't remember. I barely got far enough in that game anyway. But God of War still got it going on. You know, I have huge nostalgia for it, and on top of that, regardless of what it's supposed to be, like, it might not be the biggest combo heavy game out there, but it still does have at least a good bit of strategy and fun to it that, you know, can be implored. And I know, like, God of War 3 and God of War Ascension kind of try to implement new combo systems, which is fine and dandy, and I don't mind that, of course. And it's very clear that God of War 3 had it. You know, that's where they finally kind of... I would argue that's where the pinnacle of God of War combo system came from, was definitely God of War 3. However, Ascension, you know, I've seen people... I always see people talking about how Ascension has like a beautiful combo system, but then I watch somebody's combo video and it's always the same goddamn place. It's that place from the demo where you have to fight that when you... I don't think it's like the first time you fight them, but what the hell is it? It's that one, like, I think after the boats or whatever, you're on that dock, and then you gotta fight like a general guy eventually after you kill like, his goons or whatever. Like, everyone does the same combo videos like in that part, and they always just kind of seem like it's, you know, they do their main weapon stuff, and then they do like item weapons and what have you, and it just, I don't know, it kind of gives me like Final Fantasy 16 vibes, except in my opinion I would rather play Ascension than Final Fantasy 16, but that's just me though. I'm not too keen on 16. Now, okay, you know what? Let me say this real quick. I don't mean to shit on 16, you know, fully. That's not what we do here. That's for Turd Monkey to do, not me. Let me just preface this by saying that I played the demo of 16 only. I never actually played the full game, and I've watched combo videos of the game, and it just looks incredibly like it's trying to be style over substance, but that's the problem I have, is it just looks like it just is that. And as much as I love style, you know, DMC or whatever, man, I need substance too, and that's where I feel like God of War kind of has it. Like, even though it doesn't have, in my opinion, much style, okay? I guess it does have 4 fucking levels, goddamn. Even though I feel like there's not a lot of stuff you can theoretically do combo potential-wise with God of War, like, it's not super deep, I still feel like the effectiveness of certain things, like chain grabs and just what have you, makes the game all the more fun in that regard. Alright, so here we go. Here's the hard part of Atlantis, and honestly, probably one of the hardest parts of the game, in my opinion. So starting right off the bat, we're just going to go ahead and rip some bat wings off ourselves. Take out, you know, as many harpies as you possibly can. This guy will spawn in, and you just kind of want to do what you've been doing to them before, except now you have to do 2 of them at once. And this is where things get kind of ridiculously difficult, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know how to fight this fight the best, okay? My strategy is trying to keep them on both on the screen at the same time, and I have level 2 airness, so I'm just going to, or I think max level by now, so I'm just using that to kind of just get some damage and get some health back, just in case. So, I don't know, again, a perfect strategy for this, but if I had to guess, what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing basic core maneuver. I'm just using, you know, plume to get cores going. You can use, I think, hold square for that too, but I never do it because I'm lazy. That's just my bad. But anyway, I'm using the airness thing, and I'm just doing, like, you know, core explosions to just kind of, and keep my distance as much as I possibly can, while also trying to keep them on camera so I don't get, you know, screwed over by what they're doing. Now, I'm not sure if Arms of Sparta throwing spears is a good maneuver or not for this fight. I don't know, maybe, but you don't want to be jumping and then get caught, you know, getting slammed by a move. So that's kind of why I'm just sticking to the ground level using blades here. And I just didn't know about the Arms of Sparta thing to begin with. So there's that. I think I showed that off later, but yeah. So there's the square hold maneuver core. And as you can tell, the core is what's kind of saving my ass a little bit here, because it's allowing me to get at just even a bit of breathing room with these guys. And again, notice how I'm staying kind of just far enough away. Like, I'll do an attack, and I'll just get back just far enough away, and I'll hang on to the left side of the enemy here. I'll hang on the left side of him, so that way I don't get hit by the electric, you know, shooting out electric out of the hand thing. And I'm staying behind or staying a little bit further away so that I don't get clipped by an AoE attack that just comes out of nowhere. Because arguably, that thing does come out of nowhere. It's so hard to tell, like, is there any telegraphs for it whatsoever? I don't know. I could... It's just so damn quick, I can't catch it off guard. And that's what kind of pisses me off with those guys. But other than that, like, I mean, the hold square thing is a quick and probably your fastest way to get a core to come out. So if you want to do that, you always can. I did see somebody doing that, and I think, once again, it was the STI Bill guy on YouTube. I keep talking about him all the time, but, you know, I got to give shout-outs where shout-outs are due. But I believe that it was in his videos, because I actually needed help with that fight in particular, too. So I will be honest, that was one of the fights I needed help in. I'm like, I don't know how to do this fight well. How do other people do it? And then I just ended up just doing it myself. I'm like, okay, I'm too dumb and lazy to do what people tell me, so I'm just going to do it my own way, and then I ended up doing it that, so there you go. Now, I believe that now that we're out of there, I want to say that this will have the other incredibly difficult fight in it, the other Wraith fight, but we'll see. I should have called it the Domain of Death. I should have called it that. God damn it. Who gives a fuck? Well, we still go through the gate. That's one of the names I saw, so I'm just sticking with it. I don't really care enough anymore. It's whatever. You guys get the idea of it. And if I did this by level, by every single level, this would be like 50 parts long, I'm sure. So that's why we don't do. That's why God of War gets an exception for that. It's just 20 minutes of me doing whatever I have to do, and then after that, it's like it's whatever. All right, so back to fights that I understand how to deal with better. Again, I wish I could give better advice about those two electric guys, but there's just not much I can really talk about. Explosive cores are like the way to go for that fight in particular, just keeping your distance. And keep them on screen enough to know where they're at, so you don't accidentally get screwed over. And if you want to use the airness magic like I did, you always could do that too. Although there might be better magic suited for that fight, but hey, I'm going off what I know and what I did. And speaking of explosive cores, you can do the explosive core loop on Minotaurs, which is very nice. So pretty much you just keep doing plume, and then you hit them with explosive core, and then it just knocks them back down, and then you just repeat, you know, ad nauseum, that kind of thing. So yeah, and then I just go for chain grabs or satyrs, and yeah, pretty much just relatively easy arena in comparison to like the arena we just had, which is so odd too. Like that's the thing I mentioned about Ghost of Sparta before, is like it gets weird how like it's difficult in some parts, and then in others it's just like piss easy. Like I wouldn't say that this is like the easiest thing to do, but it is a lot easier to deal with these guys than it is those other two bastards we had to fight earlier. So in all fairness, yeah. And Thera's Bane just kind of makes and breaks the game at the same time. Until you get to the race, and then it's like, oh god, I can't do anything to them. I mean, you can't. The arms of Sparta. So. Oh, okay, of course, there's always one more that spawns in. Well, anyway, we could just easily loop him. All you gotta do realistically is just parry, explosive core loop, and it's just nothing. It's the same typical Minotaur bullshit as you've been fighting the entire game, so there you go. Which, I love fighting Minotaurs in this game, but I just find it weird that they changed them, you know? They used to be big, back in Chains of Olympus, they were big, giant, unparryable, unblockable bastards. And now all of a sudden, they changed them into like the basic Minotaurs from God of War 1 and 2. Hell, not even 2. Like, God of War 2 had, you know, difficult Minotaurs to deal with. God of War 1 had relatively easy Minotaurs. Except for the blue ones, of course, but that's just gonna happen. However, the basic, you know, brown mook ones are definitely very, very easy to deal with. And then for the vines, you know, you have to use Thera's Bane to just kind of burn them down. And I don't think you can block or parry that move, I don't think. So I just stick with just rolling back and just, you know, I'm not going to experiment too much. It's more so I'm just doing what I think would work best, and that's what happens. Alright, so since we're inside of the Domain of Death, we basically have to deal with birds. Like death birds. Like everything's going to be potentially death related. I think we're done with the Atlantean part, so... No, I mean, I think we go back, don't we? Ah, fuck if I remember. We shouldn't have to deal with Atlanteans anymore, I don't think. Which that's the thing about Ghost of Sparta I noticed too, is there's like two different ways that this game works. There's the Atlantis and then the death. Like the Thanatos type stuff. So they kind of mix it pretty well, not gonna lie. Although there are other places you go besides just, you know, Atlantis and Death's Domain, but it definitely feels like these are like two different areas that mix together throughout the game. Like, you fight Atlanteans a lot, and you fight a lot of these death things a lot, so. Or a good amount, you know. Much like with, Chains of Olympus, actually, where you have, like, the sun guys, and then you have, like, the darkness guys. You know, it's kind of probably the same concept. I wonder if that was completely intentional, to kind of have, like, a two divided type thing. It's hard to explain, but two massive level thing that the games did. Although for Chains of Olympus, I don't remember exactly what the other part of it was. That was, I mean, you're fighting Persephone, the wife of Hades, but there's not really a lot of Hades stuff, right? Yeah, I don't exactly remember, but I know it's like you had the Morpheus stuff or whatever, like that was going on, the darkness fog shit, and then you had the sun part of it. So that would probably be what I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Helios versus Morpheus type thing, and that's where I think this is kind of going to as well, sort of, rather than a versus match. But yeah, all right. So this is, in my opinion, the most difficult fight in the entire game. Notice, okay, so I start off right off the bat with doing Aranus. Now, keep in mind that this is completely random whether or not it's going to go, like, where the wraiths are going to spawn. So, pro tip, and I think, again, giving shout-outs and credit to the person I found, that STI Bill, I believe that's his name, on YouTube. I believe in this part, he used the Arms of Sparta to jump and then press R1 and square to throw out the race. I would argue, yeah, you should chain grab the birds. No, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't chain grab the birds. Don't do that. Because you can easily get grabbed. Well, don't... Okay, chain grab the birds as long as you know for a fact that the wraiths are not underground. Because there's times where, like, that underground grab will actually grab you out of a grab. It's fucking stupid. So, bear that in mind. You're trying not to knock these guys on the... try not to do a finisher. And the Aranus ball attack thing does actually count as a finisher, too, when it explodes. But if you want to do it the way I did, go right ahead. But do keep in mind that they do spawn randomly in the beginning. And that's what I'm trying to, like, get to have work. Is there's a certain spot where I'm trying to, like, get them grouped up at. Where they spawn, like, back here in this corner. Like, two of them will spawn close to this corner. And that's what I was trying to aim for. But it doesn't work all the time. To be fair, I got extremely lucky with this fight. There's not much else I can really describe advice-wise besides pure attrition and, at the very least, you know, using the Arms of Sparta to jump and then throw spears at everybody should, I believe, be the most effective way of killing them. And I would suggest, you know, if you haven't knocked the race into the ground yet, or at all, which you shouldn't be doing anyway, go for a chain grab for the birds. You shouldn't be hit out of a chain grab unless the wraiths are in the ground and they grab you that way. So, there you go. That would be the best way to do it. I would say watch his video on that instead and, you know, figure it out that way, because my way of doing it is not great. I was just pure attrition. I thought I knew what I was doing, and honestly, no, not really. I just kind of, you know, winged it for the most part and just did something that I thought would make sense. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for this. That's like two of the hardest fights almost in a row. One in the middle that wasn't too bad. But anyway, that's it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. So take care, everybody.